Welcome back, everyone. Oh man, it was a doozy day for me, but welcome back to another Bible reading. So today we're back on Genesis chapter 27, all the way to 29. This is crazy. There's actually something that I did learn, actually not that long ago, but I'll say it at the end because I actually got a few little topics here that I got ready right now. So you know the drill. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll get this started real quick. One day, when Isaac was old and turning blind, he called for Ishu, his older son, and said, "My son." "Yes, my father," Ishu replied. I am an old man now," Isaac said, "and I don't know when I may die. Take take your bow and your quiver full of arrows and go out into the open country and hunt some wild game for me. Prepare my favorite dish and bring it here for me to eat. Then I will pronounce you the blessings that belongs to you, my firstborn son, before I die." But Rebekah overheard what Isaac said to his son Ishu. So when Isu left to hunt for a wild game, she said to her son Jacob, "Listen, I overheard your father said to Isu, 'Bring me some wild game and prepare me a delicious meal. Then I will bless you in the Lord's presence before I die.' Now, my son, listen to me. Do exactly what I tell you. Go out to the flocks and bring me two fine young goats. I will use them and prepare your father's favorite dish. Then take the food for your father to your father so you can eat it and bless you before he dies." "But look," Jacob replied to Rebekah, "my brother Esau is a hairy man and my skin is smooth. If my father touches me, he'll know that I'm trying to trick him, and he'll curse me instead of blessing me." But his mother replied, "Then let the curse fall on me, my son. Just do what I tell you. Go out, get some goats for me." So Jacob went out and got the young goats for his mother. Rebekah took them to prepare a delicious meal, so the way Isaac liked it. Then she took Ishu's favorite clothes, which were there in the house, and gave them to her younger son Jacob. She covered his arms and the smooth parts of his neck with the skin of the young goats. Then she gave Jacob the delicious meal, including a fresh baked bread. So Jacob took the food to his father. "My father," he said. "Yes, my son," Jacob answered. "Who are you, Ishu or Jacob?" Jacob replied, "It's Ishu, your first your firstborn son. I have done as you told me. Here is the wild game. Now sit up and eat so you can give me your blessing." Isaac asked, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God put it in my path," Jacob replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come closer to so I can touch you and make sure you're really Esau." So Jacob went closer to his father and touched him. The voice of Jacob's, but the hands of Esau. Jacob, Isaac said, but he did not recognize Jacob because his hands felt hairy, just like Esau. So prepared to bless Isaac. So Isaac prepared to bless Jacob. "But you are really my son Esau," he answered. "Yes, I am," Jacob replied. Then Isaac said, "Now, my son, bring me the wild game, let me eat it, and then I will give you my blessing." So Jacob took the food to his father, and Isaac ate, and he drank the wine that Jacob served him. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come closer and kiss me, my son." So Jacob went over and kissed him, and when Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he was finally convinced and blessed his son. He said, "Ah, the smell of my son is the smell of the outdoors, which the Lord had blessed. From the dew of heaven to the righteousness of the earth. May God give you an abundant harvest of grain and bountiful new wine. May many nations become your servants, and may they bow down to you. May you be the master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. All who curse you will be cursed, and all who bless you will be blessed. As soon as Jacob had finished blessing Jacob, as soon as Isaac, my mistake, uh, and almost before Jacob had left, his father Esau returned with his hunt. Esau prepared a delicious meal and brought it to his father. Then he said, "Sit up, my father, and eat the wild game I gave, so you can give me your blessing." But Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" Esau replied, "It's your son, your firstborn son, Esau." Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably, and said, "Did who just serve me a wild game? I have already eaten it and blessed him just before you came, and yes, that blessing must stand." When Esau heard his father's words, he loud a he let out a loud and bitter cry. "Oh, my father, what about me? Bless me too," he begged. But Isaac said, "Your brother was here, and he tricked me. He has taken away your blessings." Esau exclaimed, "No wonder his name is Jacob, for he had cheated me twice. First, he took my rights as the firstborn, and now he has stolen my blessing. Oh, haven't you saved even one blessing for me?" Isaac said to Esau, "I have made Jacob your master, and have declared all his brothers will be his servants, and I have granted him an abundance of grain and wine. What is left from what is left for me to give you, my son?" As Esau pleaded, "But do you have only one blessing? Oh, my father, bless me too." Then Esau broke down and wept. Finally, his father Isaac said, "You will live away from the richness of the earth, and away from the dew of the heaven above. You will live by your sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you decide to break free, you will shake the yoke from your neck." From from that time on, Esau hated Jacob because their father had given Jacob the blessing, and Esau a began to scheme. My mistake. I I will soon be mourning my father's death. Then I will kill my then I will kill my brother Jacob. But Rebekah heard about Esau's plan, so he sent out for Jacob and told him, "Listen, Esau is consolidating himself by plotting to kill you. So listen carefully, my son. Get ready to flee to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay there, stay, stay there with him till your brother cools off. When he calms down and forgets what you have done to him, I will send for you to come back. Why should I lose both of you in one day?" Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I am sick and tired of the local Hittite women. I would rather die than see Jacob marry one of them." Huh, interesting. So Isaac called for Jacob, blessed him, and said, you must not marry any of these Canaanite women. Instead, go out to Panadam Amara, to the house of your grandfather Bethel, who married one of your uncle Laban's daughters. May God Almighty bless you and give you many children, and may your descendants multiply and become many nations. May God pass on pass it on to you and your descendants the blessings he promised to Abraham. You own this land where you are now living as a foreigner, for God had given the land to Abraham. So Isaac said to Jacob, sent Jacob away, and he went to Panama to stay with his uncle Laban and his mother's brother, the son of Bethel and Armeni, Amarme. Esau knew that Esau knew that his father Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him to Padama Amar to find a wife, and had warned Jacob, "You must not marry a Canaanite woman." When he also knew that had obeyed his parents and had gone to Padama Amar. It was now very clear to Esau that his father did not like the local Canaanite women. So Esau visited his uncle Ishmael's family and married one of Ishmael's daughters. In addition to the wives that he already had, his new wives named Malamaith and his she was the sister of Nebaioth, Nebaioth and the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son. Meanwhile, Jacob left to Beersheba and traveled toward Hermon. At sundown, he arrived at a good place to set up camp and stopped there for the night. Jacob found a stone and rested his head against and lay down to sleep. As he slept, he dreamed of a stairway that reached from the heaven up from earth up to heaven, and he saw angels of God going up and down the stairway. At the top of the stairway stood the Lord, and he said, "I am the Lord, the God of your grandfather Abraham, and the God of your father Isaac. The ground you are lying on belongs to you. I am giving it to you and your descendants. Your descendants will be numerous as the dust of the earth. They will spread out in all directions, to the west and the east, to the north and the south, and all the families of the earth will be blessed through you and your descendants. What's more, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go. One day I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you till you have finished giving it to you everything I have promised to you." Then Jacob woke up from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I wasn't even afraid of it." But he was also afraid and said, "What an awesome place it is. It is none other than the house of God, the very gateway to heaven." The next morning, Jacob got up early, took the stone that he had rested on against, and he set it upright as a memorial pillar. Then he poured olive oil over it. He named this place Bethel, which means house of God, though it was previously called Luz or Laos. Then Jacob made a vow, "If God will indeed be with me and protect me in this journey, then he will provide me with food and clothing. I will return safely to my father's home. Then the Lord will certainly be my God, and this memorial pillar I have set up will become a place of worshiping God, and I will present to God tenth of everything he gives me." Then Jacob hurried on, finally arriving to the land in the east. He saw a well in the distance, three flock of sheep and goats laid in an open field beside it, waiting to be watered. But a heavy stone covered the mouth of the well. It is custom there to wait for all the flocks to be ready, to arrive before removing the stone and watering the animals. After the stone will be placed back over the mouth of the well, Jacob went over to the shepherds and asked, "Where are you from, my friends?" "We are from Hedom," they answered. Do you know a man named Laban, the grandson of Nadar?" he asked. "Yes, we do," they replied. "Is he doing well?" Jacob said. "Yes, he's well," they answered. "Look, here comes his daughter Rachel with the flock now." Jacob said, "Look, it's still broad daylight, too early to round up all the animals. Why why don't you water the sheep and goats so they can go back to the pasture?" Passover. We can't water the animals till all of the flock has arrived, they reply. Then the shepherds moved the stone from the mouth of the well, and we watered all the sheep and goats. Jacob was still talking with them when Rachel arrived with her father's flock, she she was she was a shepherd, and because Rachel was his cousin, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and because the sheep and goats belonged to his uncle Laban, Jacob went over to the well and moved the stone from its mouth and watered his uncle's flock. Then Jacob kissed Rachel, and he wept aloud. He exclaimed to Ra- he explained to Rachel that he was her cousin from on her father's side, the son the son of the son of her aunt Rebecca. So Rachel quickly ran to her father Laban. As soon as Laban heard his nephew Jacob arrive, he ran he ran out to meet him. He embraced him with a kiss and brought him home. When Jacob had told him his story, Laban exclaimed, "You are really my own flesh and blood." Jacob Jacob marries Leah and Rachel after Jacob had stayed with Lebanon for about a month. Lebanon said, "You shouldn't work for me without pay. Just because we are relatives, tell me tell me how much your wages should be." Now that Now Lebanon had two daughters. The older daughter was named Leah, and the younger one was Rachel. There was no sparkle in Leah's eyes, but Rachel had beautiful figure and a lovely face. Since Jacob was in love with Rachel, he told her father, "I will work for 7 years if you give me Rachel, your younger daughter, as a wife." Agree, Lebanon Lebanon replied. "I'd rather give her to you than anyone else. Stay and work with me." So Jacob worked 7 years to pay for Rachel, but for his love for her was so strong that he seemed to have ha, it seemed to him but a few days. Ugh, I can't read right now. Finally, the time came to marry her. "I have fulfilled my agreement," Jacob said to Laban. Now give Now give me my wife so I can sleep with her." Lebanon invited everyone in the neighborhood and prepared a wedding feast. But that night, when it was dark, Lebanon took Leah to Jacob and he slept with her. Lebanon had given Leah a servant, Zephalah, to be her maid. When Jacob woke up in the morning, it was Leah. "What have you done to me?" Jacob raged at Lebanon. "I worked 7 years for Rachel. Why have you tricked me? It is not It is not our custom here to marry off our younger daughter ahead of the firstborn." Ooh, excuse me. Lebanon replied, "But wait till the bridal week is over. Then I will give you Rachel, too, provide, provided you promise to work another 7 years for me." So Jacob agreed to work on 7 more years. A week after Jacob had married Leah, Lebanon gave him Rachel too. Lebanon gave Rachel a servant, Bilhah, to be her maid. So Jacob slept with Rachel, and he loved her so much more than Leah. Then he stayed and worked for Lebanon an additional 7 years. When the Lord saw Leah was unloved, he enabled her to have children, but Rachel cannot conceive. So Leah became pregnant and gave gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, for she said, "The Lord had noticed my misery, and now my husband will love me." Soon she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son. She named him Simon, for she said, "The Lord had heard that I was unloved and gave me another son." she became pregnant a third time and gave birth to another son named Levi. For she said, "Surely this time my husband will feel affection for me, since I have given him three sons." Once again, Leah became pregnant and gave birth to another son. She named him Judah, for she said, "I will I will praise the Lord. I have," and then she stopped having kids. Oh, brother, that was that was a journey. We went from Isaac, literally the last chapter, having like trouble with the king right now and how his nation was becoming powerful, to his two sons now basically bickering with over each other, and now now we're right here. Now we're following Jacob's story after Isaac blessed him and pretty much put all the blessings on him. And now we're following Jacob and him basically having and now having multiple wives. Even though a lot of people are going to say that having multiple wives is not a thing that God supports. True, God does not support any of this. But one thing that I did not realize from yesterday is actually something that I saw this morning. I was on TikTok, I was scrolling, and I saw a man talking about like, oh, Jesus was not Jesus, God the Father was willing to protect Jesus' lineage. Then I just remember, wait, Jacob, Isaac, all these people are in Jesus' lineage. Then that kind of clicked into my head. Oh, that's why God was very aggressive to the king, because he knew that if anything happened to this lineage, then Jesus would have not been born. Pretty much God put it in place from the very beginning. And it took me a while to pretty much put two and two together. Yeah, and another thing that I did see was, remember the story in one of the, I think it was like a while ago, about crying yeah, it was crying Christ statue that was not bleeding, it was crying tears, and the chemist took it and he found that it was olive oil. And now in this passage, when Jacob slept on the rock, woke up early in the next morning, propped it up like a pillar, and put olive oil on it, it just reminded me of that story where it was like olive oil is kind of like used as holy water, and here is Jacob putting olive oil on a rock, basically holy water on a rock in the place of God, where pretty much they will eventually. I think this is where they built a temple, or I can't remember the actual story to this. There's probably more to it, but yeah. But another thing that I do like to point out is God's character in this. He's still providing. I mean, he provided for Jacob. I mean, even Jacob acknowledged that he doesn't really need to worry about food or clothing or anything like that, that God is going to provide it all for him. And now at the very end, when Leah basically was miserable and she felt like she was unloved because of Jacob, because Jacob was all over Rachel, the Lord pretty much said, "Okay, I will provide pretty much the sons to you, because well, I heard your misery, I heard your thing." And that's one thing that even though I did say in the last video we should start doing, is that we should start being patient, because if we start being patient and start following God's word and his orders and basically obey the Father, he will provide us pretty much something very, just something that you would hear like in movies saying like it's a miracle. And here it is. Pretty much she felt miserable, she felt unloved by her basically husband Jacob, and now she's over here with four sons. And the woman from the lineage from another video that I did, she pretty much, if I actually find the video again, I might put in the description too. But she basically, the woman that basically explains the genealogy actually comes from these four sons. Like, I believe Levi later down the line actually leads into the family of John the Baptist, if I recall correctly. Judah will lead to the genealogy of Christ, and the other two, one will lead into the genealogy of, I can't remember exactly who it was, but they're basically going to be the ones that ultimately betray Jesus and pretty much crucify him in an unfair trial. But yeah, I was actually it's weird because Jacob only had like a few chapters, and now we're here with not Jacob, Isaac. We went from Isaac to Jacob straight away. And yeah, a lot of people are going to say that about this little passage, saying that Jacob tricked his father. He shouldn't be blessed with all these holy blessings that the Lord should be giving him. Yeah, well, putting it in our perspective, our understanding, it seems unfair, but God's understanding is something else that we don't yet truly understand, and we probably will never know. But here, but here, you can kind of see why, because this eventually leads into the genealogy of Jesus. So it might not seem fair of what Jacob did to Isu or Isha. Forgive me, I do not know how to. I don't know how to say the names. I struggle with names very much. So yeah, and I do know some other TikTokers, some other Christian TikTokers that have trouble with the names too. Some of them do know how to pronounce it. Some of them don't. Some of them just read the Bible and basically explain the story. Like it's better to explain the story rather than, well, not rather than, but it's better to explain the story and actually understand what's going on. And that's what I'm pretty much doing right here. I pretty much read this literally not that far long ago, and I actually do have notes right here of the four things that I was going to be talking about. But other than that, I shouldn't take too much time away from you guys, but I'll see you all next time.